So last summer, Amy and I are downtown having dinner just a few blocks away. And as we're crossing the street, I recognize an old friend of mine from back when I lived in the Valley. Her name is Mikhail, and she's visiting from Eugene. It's been a long time since I had seen her. She's staying with some friends. They're going to a show. They're running late, and so we don't really have too much time to talk. So as we're crossing the street, there's some quick small talk and some introductions. And as we get to the other side of the street, we part ways. And as soon as we part ways, Amy says, "Henry, is that Mikhail? The go fuck your mother Mikhail?" Yeah. Yeah, that's her. That's fucking go fuck your fucking mother, Mikhail? Yes. So we all have stories that we enjoy telling to people. Maybe like a funny story that you always tell. And then I think a lot of us have a story like this, where for years I tried my best to pretend that this never happened. Okay, so this was something that happened to me. It was a story that only a few of my closest friends knew, only because they found out, not from me. And maybe I had told a significant other like Amy. So this story might also have had a teeny, tiny role in me having to move to a different city. But enough time has passed where I thought, well, shoot, on the spot, let's bring it out, okay? So in 1997, I'm living in Eugene, Oregon, and I've been out of graphic design school for about 2 years. I'm working in an advertising agency, got a good job, and my phone rings one day, and I get a call from Bill Poppy, and Bill Poppy owns the appropriately named Poppy Design Studio over in Eugene. And he tells me that they have been admiring my work, and they recently lost one of their lead designers. And we were talking, and he says, well, basically, we've got this job, and if you would like to, it's not officially offering it to you, but if you would like to come in and work for us, starting next week, we'll give you about 4 or 5 days. We'll see how it goes. It's temporary at first. But if all goes well, then we would like to offer you this job as our next full-time designer. And so I get off the phone, and immediately I have decided that this job is mine. Right? Hard part is done. I'm in. So my first day at work, I realized that all eyes are on me, and I am very professional. I am prompt, and I am professional in sharing some good ideas, well-received ideas. I try and not talk too much, and I get some good feedback on my work, and I'm starting to kind of get some hints that this job is probably mine. Okay, so I'm off to a good start. Right? And so, in the setup here is that I'm working in this big room, right, and big studio surrounded by some offices on the sides, and in this big studio of workstations, a bunch of designers, and my buddy James, who I actually went to school with, works here. James and I met in typography class when I was in college. And then sitting next to me is Mikhail. And so Mikhail, I didn't really know very well prior to this, but Mikhail is actually, she's very good at her job. She's a few years older than me. And Mikhail is ornery. And so, like, over the top. Okay, and so Mikhail has actually been assigned to be, she's kind of my go-to person while I'm there. So during my first week, my tryout week at the job, so Mikhail's my go-to person. And Mikhail actually confides in me right off the bat. She's like, oh, you know you have this job. Yeah, like, you're already hired. Like, it's awesome. But, so that's great, but she's also holding this over my head. And in any case, so she's stringing me along, like, as I'm working this week. Like, she's got me on edge, right? So she's messing with me. So I'd say, oh, Mikhail, excuse me, could you help me work the color copier? And she'd say, no, but you can go fuck your mother.
Wow.
I don't know what to do with that. So, okay, And then she'd laugh, and then maybe she would answer my question, or maybe she wouldn't. And so this was like an ongoing thing, you know. Excuse me, Mikhail, I was wondering if you could help me decipher this client billing code here when you get a chance. Please. Let me look at that. No, looks like you're gonna have to go fuck your mother. So this would actually maybe have been a little bit funnier if I even had that kind of a sense of humor to begin with, right? Or if maybe I even knew Mikhail well enough to make those sorts of jokes, or if basically she was not my manager on my first day of my new job that I was, you know, confident, but maybe starting to lose that about this point, right? So she's kind of enjoying this as the day goes on, but and occasionally she's like, oh, okay, Henry, okay, I'm sorry, you're right. Okay, how can I help you? Okay, right, okay. Right. I'm sorry, what's that? You want to go fuck your mother? So, to me, this is like, it's like a 7-hour-long episode of The Office, but there's just one running joke. So she's definitely, you know, I'm not comfortable with this, but, you know, it's making her happy. So I'm in the last hour of my first day at work, okay, and I'm busy at my workstation, and I've peeled an orange, and I've got the orange laid out on my napkin next to me while I'm working, and Mikhail walks up behind me, and she's like, oh, that's a good-looking orange. Can I have a piece? And I'm about to say yes, and then I say, no, but you can go fuck your mother. And it feels awesome. And I can tell from the sound of her voice that I have caught her off guard. Because, yeah, and then I turn around and there is a woman standing there who I have never met before. This is not Mikhail that I am addressing right now. So, if I were to try and describe this woman to you, I would start off by saying slightly older. I would describe her as somewhat prude. And certainly not in on my little joke. And I give you all of these observations. This is before I noticed that her lower lip is actually starting to quiver a little bit, and she has a tear that is already coming down her cheek. And so, for the moment, it does appear that nobody else in the office has heard this exchange, this thing that I have just said to her. So it's just her and I, all right? And before I can say anything, she kind of makes this chirping sound and immediately runs into this nearby office and closes the door. Okay? So she's in there, and it's glass, like a glass office, like a little office over here, cubby office, and she's in there, and she's crying, and all of a sudden there's another woman in the office, and the woman is consoling her, and they're talking, and then they're pointing at me through the glass, and the second woman starts crying, and they're gesturing at me, and I am stunned, right? And I was thinking the same thing that you guys are probably thinking right now, right? Which is, who asks a complete stranger for a bite of his orange? Right? I mean, it's like the first, like, trying to justify this, like, who the fuck walks up, I don't know you, that looks like an orange, I would like to have some. So, they're in the office. Okay, so they're talking. I find out later that this woman's name is Gretchen, and she is one of the bookkeepers that works here at the office, who I've never met before. And Gretchen tells the other bookkeeper, "Oh, hey, I'm going to go introduce myself to the new guy. I'll go walk up." And so she says, "Hi, the new guy. Oh, you've got an orange. Oh, go fuck your mother." And into the office she goes. And now she's talking to the other bookkeeper, and they're crying, and they're pointing at me. And now Gretchen, I don't know it at the time, I can tell you now, she's on the phone. She's picked up the phone. She's calling her husband. She's calling her husband, who then hangs up immediately and calls Bill Poppy, who is down the hall in his office, has no idea what the hell's going on. All right. Bill Poppy comes walking down the hallway with the phone to his ear to me, and I'm still standing there. Okay. So Gretchen's husband on the phone with Bill Poppy, trying to ask Bill Poppy, "Hey, do I need to get in my car and drive down to the office there? Because it sounds like you got a new guy that needs his ass kicked at the office right now." So Bill comes out. All of this happens in less than 5 minutes. Bill comes out before I can even start to contemplate the possibility of pretending that I might suffer from Tourette's syndrome as a possible out. I am fired in front of everyone in this open office area, despite my best efforts at trying to smooth this over. Right? Bill, no. Bill, if you can just give me a moment, all right? I absolutely did not just go tell Gretchen to go fuck her mother. All right? I accidentally told Gretchen to go fuck her mother because of Mikhail. To Bill's credit, he actually, like later I can remember, like as he was firing me, he actually was laughing a little bit, which doesn't make it any easier, but he did see a little bit of humor in this, so he's laughing as he fires me in front of everybody in the office here, some of which started to know what was happening and others who were still getting caught up. And so I did not get the job, he tells me. And as a matter of fact, I need to leave now and not ever come back. Okay, and so at this moment, I feel like I know what it's like to be publicly shamed. Until a month later. So I'm working at the Gap at the mall. So it's the holiday season. I tell my friends it's because I need to update my wardrobe, get a good discount there. And no, I am not working as a creative person for the Gap. They weren't hiring for that. I'm working as a greeter in the retail store. And despite being inside an indoor heated mall, I am required to wear a giant puffy coat with a matching hat and scarf with the tag still hanging on the jacket. And I stand at the entrance of the store and, "Merry Christmas! Welcome to the Gap." I consider myself in the regrouping phase of my design career right now as I contemplate what my next move is going to be. So I'm busy networking, if you will. I'm sending out my resume. I've made some colorful postcards that have little whimsical sayings about how much my attention to detail is just so fantabulous, and I have little drawings showing how creative I am, and mostly I'm just reassuring myself that nobody I know goes to the mall. So, of course, great, in walks John Crocker, advertising agency owner, and Steve Smith, commercial photographer. I have done work for them both. They are in the Gap, shopping for props for a photo shoot. I am standing there trying to pretend that I do not work at the Gap. Which I obviously do, and as you folks probably know by now, I am nothing if not professional. Merry Christmas and welcome to the Gap, I say. So, they are polite and do not actually bring up the fact that I am working at the Gap. We make small talk for a little while. And then when they are finally preparing to leave, John says, "Oh, well, it's good to see you, and yes, I got your postcard, yes, yeah, and your resume, yes, 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 good to see you." And he reaches out to shake my hand, and with a sparkle in his eye, he leans over and says, "Henry, go fuck your mother." I will never work in this town again. So, that night I get home from my job and I call my buddy James. And I tell him, retracing everything that has happened, starting with McHale. And how the whole thing just seems blown out of proportion, all right? So, first off, crying, right, like she's never heard the F-bomb before, and then she has to call her husband. Oh, really? Calling her husband is the first thing that she does, and then has to call Bill, and then Bill comes down and just fires me in front of everybody. All right? Bill's not embarrassed, not at all, because obviously Bill's telling fucking everybody the story. I just got told it in the Gap. James lies to me and says that he has never told anyone that story. And I go on to tell James that actually I wrote a letter to Gretchen and to Bill apologizing after this happened. And I didn't get any response from Gretchen. And the only response I got from Bill was Bill suggesting that maybe I should write a letter to Gretchen's mom and apologize to her. What the hell? Let's just write letters to everybody and tell them what an asshole I am. James interrupts me at this point and says, "Henry, do you know who Gretchen's mom is?" "No." "Henry, Gretchen's mom is the other bookkeeper. At work, the other woman that was crying in the office with Gretchen, that's her mom." So, tonight, I am reluctantly confident that every person who has ever worked in that office knows the story of my one and only day of working at Poppy Design. Thank you.